Hello, welcome to Arcade Couch, the best place to chill with your friends and get your game goodness each and every Monday. My name's Dylan Blight. Joining me on the couch this week, Ashley Hobley.
Hey, John. Excited to be here to be all positive about video games and how great the industry is working and everybody's happy.
Tell me something positive. You got all the time in the world.
Might need all the time in the world.
Oh, dear. Today on the show, we're basically just talking about Xbox, Microsoft, and all that, the news that happened there is. So let's dive into that. So early in the week, Microsoft laid off more than 9,000 jobs across their whole company. That's not just Xbox, but obviously affected Xbox as well. They're throwing around the number of, it's only 4% of our total global workforce. Because that's a lot smaller number. 4% seems a lot smaller than 9,000. But Don't be mistaken, the number is 4,000. In a statement cited by Variety, a Microsoft spokesperson said, "We continue to implement organizational workforce changes that are necessary to position the company and teams for a success in a dynamic workplace." On the Xbox side, both Perfect Dark and Everwild are two projects that have been confirmed as cancelled, and the Perfect Dark studio, the Initiative, which was touted as quadruple A when it was formed in 2018, which has been working on that game for what seems like forever. It was first revealed in 2020, then finally got a gameplay showing in 2024. That studio is now fully shut down, which probably explains why it wasn't in June's Xbox showcase. Yeah. Where we were all like, where's Perfect Dark? We haven't seen it in a year. Yep. Phil Spencer sent out a memo to employees that, again, was cited by Variety and said the move is about increasing agility and effectiveness. Yep. Brilliant. What was your reaction to the news this week?
I mean, very disappointing because obviously these were titles or things that we were expecting to come. And, like, it's Microsoft. They've got so much money. Why do they need to, close the studios, I mean, it's devastating to see how many numbers of people are getting we assume the number of people are getting cut in one go. So I don't believe... I'm looking at like the Wikipedia gaming industry layoffs article. They haven't updated the numbers yet.
No, I also looked at that the other day.
So same with gaminglayoffs.com. It hasn't. It's I don't know. It says 16 days since the last gaming layoff. So I don't think that they might just be waiting for confirmation on correct numbers and that kind of stuff. So, obviously, Perfect Dark was a game that a lot of people were very keen to see come back and looked really good when we saw it last. Obviously, Everwild, I mean, that's the other project that admittedly we haven't seen it in a long time. And that kind of stuff. So, yeah. I mean, it's disappointing. Obviously, we're seeing lots of rumors about why they did these cuts and that kind of stuff. And, like, it's Microsoft wanting to invest more in AI or, other reasons like that. It's like... why, or looking at other ways to make money that aren't just selling video games. Even though that is incredibly profitable for them for the moment, it's just like we want to make more money more quickly. Yeah, it is disappointing, but also kind of the norm. And it has been a while since we've had like this scale of layoffs. So I mean, that's the one positive.
GameSpot has an article. All the Xbox games cancelled. All the Xbox games cancelled and studios closed. I'll read through that in 2 secs, but I'll note that their last paragraph before they get to listing the studios is Microsoft stock's price has slid slightly after layoff news was announced, but the price has been trending upwards in the past 5 years and currently stands at a near record high. Microsoft is currently the number 2 most valuable company on the planet, only behind Nvidia.
Yeah, which is crazy because Nvidia only got like a boost in the last like 24 months. It went crazy. So,
so their list, this is what they've been able to confirm or whatever. So it says Raven Software. Raven Software, as the Call of Duty studio, is said to have been affected by the cuts. The studio co-developed, of course, Black Ops 6 and returned to co-develop Black Ops 7. So I'm just don't know. Again, a lot of these will just be maybe certain jobs they've made redundant because, again, they've got so many fucking studios that there's double ups and stuff. Turn 10 Studios, Forza Motorsport developer Turn 10 was reportedly hit significantly by the Xbox cuts. To tie into that, where is my other link? Eurogamer has this article, Forza Motorsport is no more, claims former Turn 10 employee. Fred Russell, who worked at the studio as content coordinator for 4 years until 2016, shared a post on Facebook with images from across his time working on the series. It's a quote, Turn 10 Studios has shuttered the Forza Motorsport space and the team is no more. A very sad day for one of the best car racing video games. Loved my time there. In a follow-up reply, Russell added, quote, Forza Horizon will continue at this point. The studio is open to support Horizon side, shuttered the Forza Motorsport side only. So reportedly, and somewhat, I guess, unsurprisingly, given how popular Horizon is, but it seems that Motorsport, which was released a couple of years ago, the last entry didn't do well. No, it was just called Forza Motorsport. They didn't do a number. Didn't do as well, or didn't do nearly anywhere near as well as the Horizon.
There's no sales numbers.
Yeah, I don't know. Well, they have them, right? So we just don't. Yeah. So,
but then who's going to make the next first Horizon?
Yeah, I don't know. It's also the thing of, I'll say, like, stuff like that. I just think it's a sad, and the movie industry does the same thing. Sometimes it's just like something comes out, doesn't make $1 million. They're like, that's it, no more chances. Done. You failed. So they said a report said nearly 50% of staff at Turn 10 were let go. So Studio's last release was 2023's Forza Motorsport. So yeah, apparently half of them gone, half of them left there to basically support Forza Horizon.
Whenever they do another Horizon game.
Which is done by a different studio, so.
But that studio's currently work on Fable, so who's going to work on?
Yeah, I don't know.
When are they ever going to make another Forza Horizon, you know?
They could be, yeah, I don't know. Rare and Everwild. So British developer Rare was affected by the layoffs too, with studio's upcoming game Everwild cancelled. The game was announced in 2019. It's been in development for reportedly 10 years before this decision came down. Anonymous developers speaking to VGC said that Rare couldn't find the right direction for the project even after it was rebooted. I will note, and I've said this a million times, I don't think I've ever seen this. The video game industry is the only place where, like, working on something for 10 years is like, that is insane, you know?
That's not true. Movie industry does that all the time.
Sort of.
We literally had them working on an Akira remake for like 20 years and couldn't get it done.
They were trying to, like, I think the difference is when they say they've been,
when it's one person as opposed to like 50, 60 people.
Yeah. Okay. I think that's the difference. Like when they say we've been trying to get this movie or TV show in production, maybe there's been a writer that's worked on a script.
There's been a writer and
maybe
a producer.
Maybe they've paid a few writers to do different versions, and maybe there's been some producers having meetings. But there's no, like the cost to time or whatever factor or stuff is a lot higher in video games.
Yeah. I mean, to that extent, then you raise the question, like, is it better off to just put something out than to get something in return, or is that more damaging in the long term, you know?
Well, sometimes I do think, and I do remember thinking,
you know, is that Golem Studio ever going to work again?
Yeah, they are. I think they've made another game since then, but I can't remember. I'm going to double check that actually. But you know, I was thinking about this when I was watching. Whenever I've watched any video game documentary, and I remember thinking a lot in the the God of War one. Because I think Corey says a line in there about like not wanting to keep tweaking. I think the difference is like movie, TV shows. Like once you begin production, you just start shooting stuff, right? I guess you could get locked into the editing room and tweaking consistently or whatever. But because video games, you can be like, let's add this, let's add this, let's or visual. Yeah, I guess. But because video, like at some point, I'm like, just stop. You know, like just, just.
Yeah, I mean, it's like a novel. You could edit again and again and again and again.
Yeah.
That kind of stuff. Or like, yeah.
Oh, no, they haven't made a game since then.
They haven't been shut down, though.
Daedalic Entertainment. Well, no, because they publish as well, so I assume that's...
I guess, yeah. They got a safety net.
Yeah.
They've got a bunch of titles of irons in the fire. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. A new MMO RPG from the Elder Scrolls Online developer ZeniMax Online Studios, reportedly codenamed Blackbird, was said to have been cancelled. It reportedly had been in development for some time since 2018. Longtime executive Matt Fior is leaving the company. So, then we got, of course, Perfect Dark, which we've talked about. High Moon, longtime Call of Duty co-developer. High Moon Studios has been affected by the Xbox cuts too, according to Charlie Intel. The studio has for years supporting Call of Duty Warzone and other Call of Duty projects. Sledgehammer Games, another Call of Duty co-developer, Sledgehammer Games has faced layoffs as part of the wider cuts at Microsoft. Blizzard and Warcraft Rumble. Blizzard has announced that Warcraft Rumble support will not continue in its current form, while systematic events and bug fixes will still be made. No new content will be added. Aftermath reports that Blizzard employees will shift to different roles, while others will be let go. An exact figure has not been confirmed, but said there isn't any some people. Now, if you're thinking what I'm thinking, which is, what the fuck is Blizzard? Is Warcraft Rumble? It's a mobile tower defense game. Halo Studios, the wide-ranging Xbox layoffs this effect also affected Halo Studios, the development team formerly known as 343 Industries, that is working on multiple upcoming Halo titles. And then finally, Romero Games. Romero Games, the studio headed by John and Brenda Romero, has announced an unspecified publisher has cancelled funding for its new game, and it's believed that it was Microsoft. In a post, Brenda Romero said, "Our publisher has cancelled funding for our game, along with several other unannounced projects at other studios." She said, quote, "This was a strategic decision made at a higher level within the publisher, well above our visibility control. The wording and timing suggests that Microsoft was the publisher for this new game, given Microsoft just confirmed it had cancelled multiple unannounced games. Romero Games said years ago when its new FPS was announced that it was working with a major publisher and Microsoft would fit that bill. An affected staffer at Romero Games said outright on social media that, quote, "Unfortunately, due to recent Xbox layoffs, I've lost my position at Romero Games," end quote. You would think, and this is the thing we never... in the list of stuff that we'll never understand because you don't see the legality paperwork. You would think, like, if a company like Microsoft's like, we will give you X amount of dollars to publish said game, and then, like, you do wonder, like, what's the clause and legality of, and we'll change their mind. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I do wonder how these things work. But oh, never know. We may never know. And apparently that's it. Yeah. So.
Yeah. I think an interesting thing in this is obviously the initiative, which was a studio that they built when they did the first round of like buying all these studios up, right?
Yeah.
And they're like, first thing we're going to do is we make a quadruple A
studio. Yeah.
There is just historically not many good examples of brand new studios succeeding in making a AAA game.
I mean, you point me out a new studio that's actually releasing.
Like, I went to ChatGPT to try and find one.
Yeah.
The top answer is Callisto Protocol.
Yeah. Like, of a new
which even that was not a huge success.
But it came out, and they've released
it. It came out. I mean, Black Myth Wukong would be the other one on this list. But other than that, I mean, how many have we seen try to do that and like kind of failed?
Well, yeah. Obviously, I give PlayStation shit all the time for the amount of studios that
well, recently, like every single studio they bought up was like a brand new.
Yeah, every studio at PlayStation's been like, they're making this game, and then they just cancel the game, or sometimes what they do is they release the game for 11 days and then cancel the studio. So
yeah, I just find it really interesting. Like, obviously, there is a team element to making video games that, maybe these studios aren't seeing, or publishers aren't seeing. You need to work your way up. You need to develop your talent within, or like work on, you need to put out a smaller title first, and then you can kind of build your way up.
Yeah, I mean,
and a lot of these like publishers are wanting to skip that step.
If you look at, I think if you look at any of the biggest studios that still release games and do them on a semi-regular basis, let's look at someone with a really good success rate recently. I think Insomniac Games, or even Sucker Punch. I think have both been releasing games at least every few years. Haven't had a major change of presidency or higher positions or whatnot. And I think at the end of the day, there has to be something said for once the studio has a process in the machine, trust in certain people to do their jobs, even, I guess, if you start in a brand new studio, everyone shows up into the office day one, you're like, all right, guys, we're here, we're making a quadruple A game, get to work. And then you don't even know the dude's name next to you that you're asking to, You
don't know how they like to do their work.
You don't know how they work.
Is everyone working on the same engine, or has experience with the same engine?
Yeah.
And like creative workflow, like do people mesh together and that kind of stuff? It's.
And I guess if you compare it to, and I do think that this is something that's again quite interesting about the video game medium, creative medium, but the studios, and when they're talked about or shown, they're talked about more like office workers, or you know what I mean? Like, whereas if you watch it behind the scenes or anyone talking about like people making film and TV, it's always like, it's never you would never see the two sort of talked about in that adult saying. I guess it is because obviously
you would never see a grip as a office worker,
No. And then I'm just trying to think, like, most, because you can't say for all for sure, but like if someone goes out to make a new movie, it's like they have the casting, they get to know all the producers and the director and writer all know each other. They begin the process, then they would meet with like the cinematographer and stuff. They go, oh, we really like the way this person works. They'll have a meeting. They'll be like, they have a chit chat. Let's hire this person. Bring, you know what I mean? It's all just, by the time they actually get to making the thing, most people know everyone.
Yeah,
and maybe the key group isn't best friends of everyone. But everyone who's the most important in the circle usually has known each other, I guess, and that's what I guess that's how bigger studios work. But you can't do that just
Well, weird. It's just historically it hasn't worked.
Yeah. I do wonder if they ever discuss these things.
Probably not. I mean, I fully expect them to like, we'll just shove a bunch of people who know what they're doing in a room and then they'll figure it out. Do you know?
Yeah. It's very weird. Very, very, very weird.
Yeah. I mean, there's a reason why these studios are so, like Naughty Dog and all these studios are like at the top, because they've had the history of putting these games out and they've passed the knowledge down, and they've got people who've spent so many years at one place, I just don't, which makes it worse when you like kill one of these studios that have been like together for a very long time, because that culture and that cohesion is all lost and will never be able to be replicated, really.
Just have also wonder, you never hear, it's like, don't even put out a game, but I cannot say I've ever read like, so-and-so forms new studio, spends first couple months doing game jams in studios so everyone can, you know what I mean? Like just do a fucking game jam or two.
Let's make us the head of your new
studio. Just fucking make some make some games. You don't even need to release them. You can put them out for free on fucking itch if you want, really. But just make some games. But at least it's like team building, I guess, or something. I don't know. Anyway.
Yeah. Anyway, Microsoft sucks, and
yeah.
I mean, that's why it's a smarter investment to buy studios that have slowly been working their way up. Like, it seems like Obsidian is going to be a massive success for Xbox. It looks like the Wasteland developers who are doing that Clockwork game. They're like leveling up to the next level.
Yeah.
You know?
But I mean, Obsidian is a good example. They have 3 freaking games out this year.
Yeah. You know? And that's a studio that's been around a long time.
Yeah.
And it's slowly like done bigger and bigger games, you know.
All right. In other news, let's go shit on PlayStation for a bit or something. So Neil Druckmann and Haley Gross, the co-creators and writers of The Last of Us Part 2, have announced that they are leaving the HBO series and not returning for the third series. Both were involved with the second season, of course. Neil Druckmann was serving as executive producer on the series for the first and second season, writing and directing episodes. Haley wrote 2 episodes, I think it was, for the second season. So on the Naughty Dog official account, Neil said, "I've made the difficult decision to step away from my creative involvement in Last of Us HBO. We've work completed on season 2 before any meaningful work starts on season 3. Now is the right time for me to transition my complete focus to Naughty Dog and its future projects, including writing and directing our exciting X game, Intergalactic: The Heretic Prophet." And then Haley on Instagram said, "With great care and consideration, I've decided to take a step back from my day-to-day work on HBO's The Last of Us to make space for what comes next. I'm so appreciative of how special this experience has been. Working alongside Neil Craig and HBO and his remarkable cast and crew has been life-changing. Stories we told about love, loss, and what it means to be human in a terrifying world are exactly why I love this franchise. I have some truly rad projects ahead that I can't wait to share, but for now, I want to express my gratitude to everyone who brought Ellie and Joel's world to life with such care." Is this odd timing? Are they telling the truth? Do we want to put tinfoil hats on and theorize it's because they hated season 2? What do you reckon?
I mean, I'm sure like Intergalactic is probably like ramping up, and there is a greater demand probably from PlayStation that Neil's there for that than there is for him to be working on The Last of Us Part 3. Something that likely will not be into the world for another 2 years. I mean, it is suspicious timing, you know. I'm sure there's like they said, it's not going to be a day-to-day thing. I'm sure they'll be consulted on certain things and that kind of stuff. So it's like they're not going to be completely removed. But I mean, the story from here is like pretty clear. And from what we understand, from what we've heard, like covering the show over on What Do You Want to Watch, if you want to go listen to all our after show episodes over there, like we'd follow the podcast and that kind of stuff that they do with Neil, Troy Baker. Craig was the main voice on the show. He wrote most of the episodes. Like, I mean, he was a writer on every single episode of the second season. So, you know, it was very much a bouncing of ideas that maybe he won't get as much opportunity with this second season.
Yeah, do you reckon that's worrisome though? If it's full Craig?
Potentially.
How we felt about the second season.
I don't know, because you enjoyed all the episodes except for the ones that happened to be written by the 3 of them together, you know? So, I mean, most people will tell you like having a writer's room helps, and like having people bounce ideas off is helpful.
All I'm going to say
but
is
you didn't bounce ideas off people
of all time was never written by one person. So,
yeah. But Chernobyl, I believe Craig wrote all of Chernobyl, right?
He did, but that was 6 episodes. It's basically like a 6-hour movie. Like,
yeah, so
yeah, it's weird. It's weird timing, is all I'll say. It just feels like
I don't know when better timing would have been though. Like,
yeah, I don't know. It's just I don't think there is.
Is it? Do wait till after the Emmys and they?
No, yeah, it's just it's ripping the Band-Aid off. But I do feel like it's going to lead to some people being like, interesting. But at the same time, yeah.
But also, by the time the show comes back, you'll have forgotten.
Yeah, probably.
That they're not involved.
But also, Neil being pulled back to Naughty Dog also makes sense because they may have spent the last 6 months while he was fucking around working on very specific jobs that he didn't actually need to be there for day to day. And yeah, you're probably right that now that they're like, all right, we've figured out the fucking whatever coding back end. I don't know, something that he didn't need.
We figured out the gameplay elements.
Yeah,
let's get into the pulling it all together.
Decision making where someone needs to be like, yep, that's good, that's bad, that's
yeah.
Interesting. It's funny though because she's in that game.
Yeah, she's got an acting role.
She's got an acting role. So.
So it's interesting, I guess, with her and like what's she working on?
Nothing currently that we're aware of.
They're aware of, but she might, NDAs, that kind of stuff. They could be. She'd be working on the other Naughty Dog game. The other Naughty Dog game that they're not talking about, or any other, unannounced projects. So, yeah.
All right, and the final bit of news for this week, crossover between our other two subjects, Xbox, PlayStation. Pick up, people. Helldivers 2 becomes first PlayStation published game on Xbox. So Arrowhead Games and Xbox have announced that Helldivers 2 will be released on Xbox Series XS on August 26th, featuring crossplay between Xbox, PlayStation, and PC. Playing consoles will be able to team up in 3-person squads against insect-like aliens, of course, to take down and protect Super Earth. Showing the news on Xbox Wire even, Arrowhead Games director Mikhail Erickson said, "We know gamers have been asking this for some time and we decided to bring more Helldivers into our game. We have so much more in store for the future months and years, and the more players we have, the more stories we can tell. The fight for Super Earth has only just begun." I was like, oh yeah, that's cool. And then I would say I've seen a few of the like PlayStation elitists doing those whole like,
no, we can't have any games on that other console.
Yeah,
I'm going to throw it in the bin. Just why don't you buy dinner for me first before you fuck me like this?
I haven't seen quite the extent of that. The
like the Xbox fans react when all the games
that bald-headed dude who spat it that one time on YouTube or whatever. I haven't seen that level, but yeah. I mean, what do you think? I think this is cool. I mean, I guess the main question is how many PlayStation games do you think will end up coming to Xbox? Because I don't think they're going to be as liberous with
Xbox. I think anything multiplayer-esque makes sense. Like just because player base is so important and that kind of stuff. So, like, that makes sense to like just go multiplayer, get as wide an audience as possible. I mean, to be fair, they already do the show, which they released on Xbox. That was mandated by the MLB, to be fair. Other titles like that, like smaller, kind of, I wouldn't be surprised if like stuff like not too closely related to PlayStation, like I could see Stellblade going over to Xbox at some point. Let all those Xbox weaves get their jiggle physics fix, that kind of stuff. So, but the major first party studios, I can't imagine ever going.
I'll say also like Helldivers 2 released February 2024.
Yeah, it's been a while.
They didn't rush to it.
Yeah, and it just feels a little bit petty this to go. Oh, all these studios got shut down this week. Listen, we'll throw Xbox a bone. Helldivers coming.
I mean, I highly doubt that the Helldivers team, when they went to announce this, had any idea what Xbox was doing.
Yeah.
Their Xbox contact was
fun to imagine, though.
Hey guys, would you like to announce the news in 2 weeks' time? And they were like, yeah, that's great. Let's do it then. Here's a trailer. Little did they know. Yeah. Rip. And I mean, it's free money. It's not going on Game Pass.
Yeah,
you have to buy it. So,
okay, is it a coincidence the Final Fantasy games are finally coming around the same time?
Don't think so. Also, I didn't. I forgot to note this, but I did notice on what's the studio? Nexon? Nexon. Whatever. The porting one that PlayStation owns. They're listed in the code, development stage for that. So I think they've obviously done the whatever work was required to bring it to Xbox, I reckon they've done it.
Yeah.
So again, Arrowhead
makes
just
sense.
even more. They didn't even have to do anything. They literally just get free money. So good for them. All right. That's all I got for this week. That'll do it for this week's episode of Arcade Couch. Of course, let us know any comments, questions, concerns about anything we discussed on the show. How do you feel about Xbox? Evil or not? You can let us know by on Blue Sky at explosionnetwork.com, other social media at Explosion Pod at Explosion Network, explosionnetwork.com/Discord, and check out explosionnetwork.com for all the news, reviews, previews, and fun stuff. And until next week, same time, same couch. Goodbye.